Hey there, so we're back again, and these are a couple of the people that were in the online HSP course. I've got Shelly and Melissa with me. I haven't introduced them in any of the previous videos, so sorry about that. We have not talked about any of this before recording, and so I'm just hopping on to ask them some questions so that if you're thinking about taking the online HSP course, you can hear from some people that have actually had the experience. So we had 9 different modules where we covered things like boundaries, perfectionism, mindfulness, self-care, self-compassion, communication. There's more, but were there any specific modules that stuck out to you or you've been more impacted by than others?
Yes, for me, it was boundaries, definitely. And there was one particular situation that we had a little role playing, and that could help me kind of practice how I wanted to really honor my boundaries and my ideas around this particular situation. And it was really helpful because when I actually had that conversation, it I felt like I had rehearsed it so many times, and it's made it so much easier to just stand my ground and not cave in like I normally would have. And that felt really good, especially the day of that particular event that was taking place. I didn't have the typical guilt and shame that if I were to, stand up for myself before the course, I would have felt like, maybe even at the last minute, just going anyway, even though I wasn't really doing it for myself, I was doing it for others. So that role play really helped solidify what I wanted to get out of that whole situation and to be able to stand my ground and until the very last minute and feel good about it. And even after the event, feeling like really content with my decision. And I know maybe other people that were involved in that situation weren't so happy, but it's going to be okay. I mean, I think in the end, there'll be other parties or situations that will have a chance to connect. But I think for this one in particular, it was really really helpful to have the support and role playing definitely helped.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
often, we end up having to choose whose needs are going to get met. Am I going to get what works for me or are you going to get what works for you? And it's not uncommon for us to capitulate because we don't like conflict. We don't like the feelings that it brings up. We don't want to disappoint people. We don't want to hurt people. And it's just easier to go like, "Ah, I'm just going to do it." So
Mhm.
what have either of you, I mean, so I hear in this situation that you were able to do that. Do you see this showing up in other areas where like you're having a little bit more of that, like, maybe my needs should come first?
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That the technique that you said, just a just simple little reminder of when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to another. And we talked about
Mhm.
how when you say yes to someone else, often you're saying no to something that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And being, having it had a couple weeks under my belt of the course to, realize that being an HSP, we have, different needs or maybe some, more needs and to just be able to honor that. And it really took a lot of my self-blaming out to be able to say, oh, I'm not saying no to them as much as I am saying yes to me, which was really
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah, yeah. And it's an ongoing process. We were talking between, because we're recording a couple of these, that it's not like you take the course and all of a sudden, like, boom, you've got no problems. And like, I've got this down. This is about learning how we operate. It's about learning tools so that we get to practice. Life is always about practice. And as much work as I've done, I'm still getting to practice this stuff. So it's not about having this perfect end result, but it's about filling your toolbox with all kinds of things. So, you take this one out, it doesn't work. You got 5 more in there that you can pull out and try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else about boundaries that you want to share about?
I just know I've gotten so much more comfortable because, like you said, toolbox getting is definitely got several more tools in it now.
Yeah. Were there any other modules that stuck out to you? as being important or that have been impactful?
Self-compassion was huge, huge. I the the part of me that you named or that you had brought up for you that often you have to deal with is the taskmaster. And to be able to put a name to that part of me that was really had a whip to me my whole life. That's how I got myself to do. I remember 20 years ago saying, if I ever figure out self-discipline, I'm going to write a book on it. And I could never do it because I whipped myself to do everything, which made me want to do nothing. So to be able to name that taskmaster, and I've kind of let it take a different seat on the bus. It's no longer in the driver's seat. It's still there, but I now feel like I'm equal to it and can talk to it as an equal instead of a beaten down child by it. So it's nice to, I don't know, it really all clicked. It just helped me to just be okay more. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense, which is why we start our first week talking about mindfulness and self-compassion, because the only way to change is to start lovingly observing what goes on with curiosity so that we can see what we're doing that's not working and how we often, continue to do things that don't work, and we've got to have radical self-compassion about it. So yeah, it absolutely makes sense.
That was the first week.
Yep.
I thought I'd had some under my belt then.
Yeah, yeah. How about you, Shelley? Did any of that resonate with you?
Yes. And what's interesting is the boundaries and self-compassion kind of go hand in hand with me in regards to like future gatherings of which that, I need to make sure that I take care of myself and in whatever capacity that fits for that particular situation. And so I'm finding it really interesting now, like the upcoming holidays, to speak from a place that is, used to be uncomfortable for me, to say, this is, how I'd like to do it. And then not that I get to have my way all the time now, but to have that compromise, because I have a, family and extended families. And so finding that compromise that feels not only fair and loving and but also, taking care of my own needs too, either before or after, like making sure I take time, being mindful to do that, so I can navigate through this is the toughest time for me. And I sort of, not sort of, I really wish that the course wasn't ending quite so soon, because I could really use it for this next 4 weeks. But I'm really glad that we got to I mean, it's really, because this is really the tough time of year for me, with just navigating through all of the different things.
We're still
So
here for you.
I think, yeah, I know. And that's what I was going to say, is that it's so great that we still are connected through, our networking groups. And I know at any time I could reach out to any one of, anybody, and just have a nice conversation that would be, mutually supportive and compassionate. So I I can't say this enough. Like, if you're an HSP and you feel like you just need a little support and you want to be with other HSPs, like, this is definitely worth your time, your energy, your resources, because it's really a powerful course. And I'm really, really, really grateful. This is perfect time for Thanksgiving. I'm really grateful that I had this opportunity to hang out with you guys for the last 11 weeks, 10 weeks. So yeah, thank you, Patricia.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Melissa, and everybody else in our group. Yeah.
Is there anything else before we sign off?
No.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to come on and share with other people what your experience is, because I see the tremendous changes in everybody who goes through the course. Nobody's ever asked for a refund. People tell me how transformational it is. And I just am trying to figure out ways so that other people can really see what your experience is, because I really do think it's transformational. I don't think there are a lot of places where HSPs can show up and learn about the trait, learn about themselves, spend time with other HSPs, be in an environment that is safe and contained and where there's, healthy role modeling going on. So I really think this is something that really would be very helpful to people that just don't have those connections and want to learn more about themselves, and they just don't know how to share that information. So I'm really grateful that you were willing to jump on today and talk about that. If you are watching this and you're interested in more information about the HSP course, you can go to unapologeticallysensitive.com, go to the HSP group page, or you're welcome to reach out to me and email me at unapologeticallysensitive@gmail.com. Remember, can we all say it together? Sensitivity is nothing to apologize for.
It's a
Our superpower. Thanks, everybody.